Are you a real estate investor looking to sharpen your skills or a newbie looking to become one? You're in the right place. Welcome to Where Should I Invest? Real Estate Investing in Canada with your host, Sarah Larby.
Welcome to episode 150. I can't believe it's already been 150 episodes, and I started this podcast back in 2017. And when I first started my podcast, as I don't know if you guys have been listening since then, but they were very sporadic. And I made a podcast. I would spend 4 to 5 hours editing it myself and getting it ready. And, you know, maybe once a month I would have a podcast release. Sometimes it was once every 2 months. It was all, all over the place. And since then, I mean, now I'm doing weekly podcasts. I'm recording them in advance so I can enjoy the summer off. And, I will say these podcasts, thanks to you guys, you listening at home or on your drive into work or while you're taking a walk, you are the reason why I keep doing these, because if I can inspire you, help you learn new things about Canadian real estate investing, that is why I do these podcasts. And I'll tell you, it's been very fulfilling. I didn't really have a plan when I first started to see how long I was going to do these for or what was going to bring. I kind of just went ahead and did it. But I'll tell you, the podcasts has likely been the best thing that's ever happened to me. Number one, it was a way for me to share information and help others so that they can also succeed, because this industry is very small, as you probably heard me say in the past, but it's also important that we all help each other. And at some point we might be working with each other, we might be doing joint ventures deals together, and for others to pass it down as well. But I think the biggest thing from a personal standpoint that has helped me with this podcast was all the connections that I've been able to make along the way, learning from some amazing minds, amazing people, with some information that I would have not been able to get otherwise if it wasn't for these podcasts. And I'll tell you, a lot of my top 5, the 5 people I hang out with the most, have actually been from either the Right Club, but a lot of them too from the podcast. And I don't know if I actually would be here today if it wasn't for those connections that I've made throughout the last 3-4 years of doing these podcasts. And today with episode 150, I wanted to bring in Harry James and Joe Ferrara, who we're working on some really cool deals together. I hired Harry personally, actually, as my mentor, as my coach. I know he doesn't like those words, but somebody to help take me to the next level, because I think it's always important that you keep elevating yourself, and hiring the right coaches for you at different times of your real estate investing game. And I looked up at Harry, but ironically, we met from the podcast, Instagram originally, and then connected with him, asked him to be on my podcast. And that's how we started talking about, I want to say it's probably been a couple years. And I reached out to him 6 months ago, asking him if he does any coaching and that kind of stuff. And, he agreed to help me scale my portfolio to even bigger and better things from what I was doing. And yes, I've been very successful on my own, but it's great to be able to take that next step. And so, with Harry's help and Joe, we've actually found some really awesome opportunities that we're working on together. And that takes my real estate to the next level. And hopefully it inspires you guys to reach out to somebody that can help you get to that next step. And so together we've purchased some land. So I found some off-market land, brought them into the deal as well. And we are building 6 freehold towns that have actually sold in literally 6 minutes of sending out an email, which is pretty cool. And the new fun project, which I'm sure we'll talk about, is a 15+ cottage resorts. It's actually raw land right now that we purchased over 5 acres. We are building a really cool resort, and we're gonna, theme the cottages. And I mean, obviously it's still very early in the game or in the process, but 2 big projects that, in the past, I don't know if I would have taken that leap, because I'll tell you, it'll be millions of dollars of costs, but also bigger profits and potentially bigger risks as well. And So we'll talk about that in the podcast as well. And I hope you guys enjoy today's podcast. If you enjoyed episode 150, let me know. Send me an email, sarah@larby.com. And also check out Harry and Joe. We'll give you some links to how to connect with them. They have Instagrams as well. And Harry's got some great video clips of advice that he posts every so often as well. So enjoy the podcast, and we'll see you next week. Harry, Joe, welcome to the show. How are you guys?
It's such an honor to be here. And it's good that it's edited out that it took us 15 minutes to get the volume going because of you.
Yes, because of me.
Awesome. Well, I mean, I'm glad that we have you, and I just did this intro and introduced you guys. I'm super excited to have you both on. Every 50 episodes, I want to do something special, and so I was thinking, okay, what should I do for this episode 150? And you guys, I think you guys have brought me, I think, to that next level of my real estate investing journey. And so at first, I want to thank you for that, and then second, I wanted to bring people on so that they can you guys both on, so that people can get to know you better and also hear about some of the awesome projects that we are doing. So why don't we start with Harry? Harry's been my coach and mentor, and Harry, I know you don't like those words, but my source of inspiration for the last 6 to 7 months, I think, that we've been working together now. And for those that may not know your background, and I know you shared a little bit on the prior episodes, but a little bit about you, what you do in real estate investing, and what you're currently doing these days as an overview.
Okay, so do you want the long, boring version, or you just want to kind of push the fast forward button to what we're doing in real estate?
Let's do the quicker version, because if somebody wants a very long version, they can go back to your original podcast episode.
Okay, so the medium version is I've been in finance since I was 18 years old, started Canada Trust, got into investing in real estate when I was around 23 years old, and was really truly in the financial planning business up until 2007, and then kind of reinvented myself with my passion and interest in real estate, became my main focus, along with being a partner with my son in an employee benefit firm. So there's 2 things in my life: my employee benefit firm with my son, and I'm my partner, Joe Ferrara, right here. It's a beautiful shirt. My partner, Joe Ferrara, and I are partners in Harry James Enterprises, which really is a small boutique development company and real estate management company. So we have a portfolio that is ours that we're grooming and developing. And then we also are doing development projects along the way. And that's how I had the privilege of working with you on a recent deal, Sarah, after we got to know each other. So that's the medium version.
All right, awesome. Very good. And Joe, what about you? We haven't had you in the podcast before. We'd love to hear your story, maybe like a medium, little bit longer version for us, if you don't mind.
No, we don't have to hear from him. Let's go on. Hey, seriously.
I'll let Harry talk.
No.
You sure?
All right, just keep it short.
All right, short and sweet. Yeah, I started almost 40 years ago as a framer, and got into the business out of school. And just worked my way up for about 10, 15 years between building custom homes and framing.
Sorry.
And
That's okay.
slowly I got started investing in some properties in that, and started doing my own stuff and buying properties and renovating. And met Harry in 2010. So I'll just make it, but not so long. And we can ask questions later on. Met Harry in 2010 in one of my restaurants that I had built, and we partnered up. And here I am today with Harry. The way you said he's your mentor and your coach, I've had him for the last 12 years at my side, and he's taught me so much, and he's brought me to that next level with him at the same time. So we kind of work in hand greatly, because he's an amazing financer and amazing at real estate, and bringing my experience with the construction part in it just made like he always says, 2 + 2 = 4. Is that what you say?
No, the right partnership and chemistry, 2 + 2 = 6. But I liked where you were going with talking about my skill set. Just keep running with that, because that's what people really want to hear.
And so here we are here, and basically, I went from renovations, custom built homes, and eventually with Harry, I've always had a dream of building condominiums, and I'm sure Harry had the same thing. And we started building condos, and and got deeper into construction and developing, and also now we're into apartments. So basically, any aspect of construction, we basically have covered it.
Yeah, you've gone way over time.
No, that's cool. I mean, it is interesting, and it's good to establish, a bit of an idea of how you work together. So 2010, so you've been, working together for 12 years. And from what I guess what you're saying is Harry is, the money guy, the ideas, and then you go ahead and you execute from a building perspective. Is that right? Or do you guys have?
Yeah, basically, you know what, you basically hit it on, exactly what you said there.
Don't forget to tell her about the growing pains, buddy.
Do you want to hear the growing pains?
No,
let's hear it. Let's hear it.
No, well, the growing pains were where we are now, which is a beautiful thing. Is I stick to what I'm good at, which is putting deals together. I think a little bit of creativity, putting investors together, and negotiating the deals. And Joe, by far, is the most brilliant builder, creative, intuitive builder I've ever met. However, I always stay out of his backyard. I never go to his job sites and say, hey, are those footings right? I don't really know if I like that steel beam. But he always comes over to my side of the world saying, well, I don't know if we should do the deal. Well, what about if we do this, do that? And it took us a while for you to stay on your side
Absolutely.
Of the laneway. And now we have clear laneways.
Well, you know what, Sarah? He's right.
Yes,
and the reason I would step into his side is to learn that side without just sticking on my side.
The
whole truth is here,
nuts.
Driving him nuts and everything else. 12 years of our lives together. Yeah, I've probably given him, he's given me white hairs. I've given him white hairs. But at the same time, I've learned a lot.
Big line right there.
That's
line right there is from the restaurants. We also had 3 restaurants. Here, you know what? This is a good commercial for our partnership, though, I think. So hang on a second. Maybe we should give Sarah the whole story. How
Sarah,
we got started. I didn't even know Sarah was here. Oh. Anyways, but here's the important thing. We lost a lot of money in restaurants for 6 years, and we got into this really bad habit of next week's going to be better, or if we have a better chef, or if we have a better menu. And for 6 years, we kept deluding ourselves, and we lost a lot of money. Thankfully, we were able to fund the restaurants with our gift and our abilities in real estate, but we're really running hard to stay still. But a testament to our partnership, I think, is true character comes to the surface when you're splitting up losses. And we split up the losses, didn't have any fights, didn't disrespect each other, didn't not trust each other. We got through it. And now that we're 12 years together and we've gone through some real rough times, it's a lot more fun. But I think the reality is if you're in a partnership or you're working with somebody, it's how you handle the downside that matters the most. That really tests the mettle of a partnership. And I think probably that's one of the things that we're most proud of with our journey so far.
Absolutely.
That and that shirt.
You're not sure. You like that shirt. That's where I work for you today. But yeah, you know what? Harry's 100% right. We have a partnership that's, it's an amazing partnership. Not only we're partners, we're best friends, and our wives are best friends. And you know what? We travel, we do a lot of stuff together, but it is a true testament of the kind of partnership we do have. And sitting beside this guy and the stuff he's taught me in real estate and financing is impeccable. I can't even begin to start to tell you that. And I'm sure that you've noticed him being your coach at the same time. Mm-hmm. But if we go back in 10, 12 years that we've been together and the stuff that we've endured and the stuff that we've done, a lot of guys would have called it quits 6 months into it.
Right.
And I'm not, and that's being serious. But again, you know what? It's enduring what we've endured and the testament of being together for so many years and where we're at today. I can honestly say, what a journey. And now look where we're at today and what we're doing, and our business is expanded, and I'm sure Harry will say the same thing.
What a fun, fulfilling journey you meant to say. I gotta write your lines.
Yes, please. Yeah, fun,
fulfilling, dynamic, exciting, fulfilling journey.
Awesome.
Okay,
All right, so I'm gonna interrupt so I can also speak a little bit at the same time. But I do want to point out that you guys have a great partnership, and it's hard to find, right? And so for somebody that's listening to today's podcast and saying, should I go the JV route? Should I look for a partner that can complement me? What are your thoughts and what could they look for in a partner? And I know, Harry, the second part of this question is you don't necessarily always love joint venture partnerships. And so I'd like to hear also why. But let's start with how to find, a partner that's going to best be able to complement you.
I will answer very quickly and then pass the baton to Joe. it's people overcomplicate it. It's exactly like getting married. There's an old saying, you pick your friends, not your family. Why? Because of chemistry, mutual respect, mutual interest. So my suggestion to anybody is don't try to force fit a partnership. If you don't have a good gut feel, if you don't have good chemistry, if 1 and 1 doesn't equal 4, if there's divergent objectives, if you're overlapping in your skill sets and you're kind of getting on each other's nerves, it's not going to get better. It's just going to get worse. So I think walking down the aisle and dating and ultimately marrying a partner, which means you put a project together or you incorporate a company together, you want to be very, very careful, because that can cause you the same type of stress and grief and unhappiness that walking down the aisle with the wrong partner in life. People take partnerships in business too lightly, in my opinion, and they discount the most important elements, which is that chemistry and that relationship and that trust.
Yeah, 100%. I think on the way I see it, me and Harry being, such great partners and all that, there's a lot more to partnership that meets the eyes, where people don't really understand until you get into that part of the partnership. And going back to, I know I keep talking about him and how great he is, but I'll be honest, like going back to that, my partnership with Harry not only is the business part, it's my health and well-being at the same time. He's taught me more than just the partnership evolved from our restaurants, which it did, losing the money and all that. But at the same time, at one time I was 220 pounds. He put me on being his partner and all that. He would always put in my head, you gotta make sure that, you're healthy, you're vibrant. You know what? We can keep doing work for the next 100 years. He just kept putting in my head to be healthy and making sure that family and health and all that benefits came first. When a person takes care of you physically and mentally and spiritually and that, I knew that partnership was right. And my dad always taught me, always go with better people than you are. They can teach you a lot more. So when I met Harry, all that kind of clicked in. And, as much as I put him on a pedestal, I'm not just saying this, a lot of people that know me will tell you the same thing. I adore the guy, but it's the partnership is not meeting somebody and doing projects together. There's a lot more. If you're only in for the money, don't do it, because it's gonna go sour. It's gonna go the wayside. But our relationship is so good because I look up to him, and I'm sure he looks up to me. But my life has changed in the 12 years. It's gone from 0 to 100 in 12 years, and it's gonna go from 0 to 200 in the next 30 years with him. And we feed off each other. As much as sometimes I want to strangle him or he wants to strangle me, we feed off each other. And you know what? And we have the same philosophy in life. And that's grown on me in the last, 10 years. So to me, a partnership is not just about money or buying a property together. It's got nothing to do with it. You can have two people buy a piece of property together just because you think it's okay. Well, how do you know the guy knows what he's doing? Like, you know what? You need a guy like Harry, the finance part. I put my life and my trust in Harry to find the money. But he's got to put more than that into me, because I'm the builder, and I got to make sure I come in on budget, which sometimes I don't.
Oh, understatement of the year goes to Mr. Joe Ferrara. No more nominations, please. Thank you.
Wow.
But in a nutshell, that's what I see in a partnership. So I'm not sure we can take from that. But a partnership is not what people think. You know what? And I hear it all the time. I hear my friends and they say, "Oh, we're going to buy this, we're going to do that. We got our friends," and I'm going like, "All right, it's not as easy as everybody makes it seem. There's a lot more to a partnership." And just getting and buying a house and trying to finance it. There's so many things, Sarah, that we can sit here for the next 3 days and go through that. But again, about our partnership, again, it's not about the money. It's not about the construction. It goes further into that if you want a true partnership with people.
Yeah, no, that's a great point. So how do you differ that then with somebody thinking, okay, what about a joint venture partner?
I think you're asking me that. Boy, I don't want this to come across the wrong way, because I know a lot of people do joint ventures, and I know it's a great lane way to go down. It's just a lane way that I've never gone down. And I think that's the cool thing about real estate, is there's so many different ways to build wealth, to build a lifestyle, to achieve your goals. And for me, I'm not good at a lot of things, but I've got a pretty good eye for real estate. My track record is I've helped a lot of people make a lot of money. The bulk of my net worth is in real estate, which gives my wife and my family and I freedom, as also with Joe. And that's come from being liberated and free to do what I do and what I do best. And because I have a track record of doing that, under promising and over delivering, and I hope that doesn't sound too self-centered, but it is something, thankfully, that has happened. I have many people that say, listen, I don't have the time or the skill set or necessarily the resources to do real estate. Could I come along for the ride with you? And I would say, listen, there's enough for everybody. You're more than happy to come along as a shareholder, as an investor, but there's one steering wheel in a car. There's only one rudder in a ship, and I have my hands firmly on that. I'm not going to negotiate with any of my investors about whether I should or shouldn't offer this much, or whether I should convert from commercial to residential apartments, or whether I should pivot or refinance. I've got to be liberated to do what I do best. And that way I can be accountable and responsible, but I have the ability to deliver at the level I feel I can deliver at. If I've got to be talking every 15 minutes to a JV partner that has their opinion on this and opinion on that, and they've read a book, or their uncle who knows this guy says I should be doing this, I'll be in a loony bin in no time. So I do have to be the one leading. I do have to be the one doing the deals. And at the end of the day, I'm comfortable being the one accountable for the outcome. But the Democratic JV having to maybe give a lot of extra information and dot the I's and cross the T's on detailed things, it's not really my gig. And a lot of what I do is intuitive. A lot of what I do is gut feel. A lot of what I do is based on 35 years experience. And you can't really articulate that and explain that to somebody in a half hour or 1 hour meeting. Mm-hmm. So in other words, I'm a bit of a jerk.
Joe, anything that you'd like to add to that?
What was the question again? You just kept rambling on.
That's hilarious. I mean,
if you guys can sleep with your eyes open.
Versus partnerships.
Say that again, sorry?
So instead of, how we bring in our shareholders, right? There's deals you can do with, it's a joint venture, right? With people you really don't necessarily know, but they, for example, they put up the money, you put up the expertise, that type
Yeah, you know what? Again, my thought on that, again, I don't have to worry about it because I'm with Harry, but if I had to join in with somebody else, I'd have a hard time doing that with anybody, especially in today's day and age. The way the market is today, and it's been for the last 10 years, everything is blown out of proportion. And the biggest problem today is that, like Harry says, by bringing some people in or whatever, everybody's got an opinion about something. Mm-hmm. Well, the only opinions that really a lot of people only have is what they listen on a podcast or what they may be hearing on TV or they're reading a book about. They're not in the trenches. They don't understand. They ask some questions sometimes that they get from their friends, family, and everybody else that don't make any sense. And I'm just as bad as Harry. I get very frustrated at that point because for 35 years, 40 years of our lives that we've done this, we make money even when the market's bad. And, if the market crashes all of a sudden and you have these investors and all that, what's going to happen? For guaranteed, there'll be some kind of argument, some kind of lawsuit, something going on. So for me personally, it'd be hard for me to get into a joint venture with somebody, which I don't know. Mm-hmm. And like I said, especially with a lot of social media and all that, there's nothing wrong with it. But a lot of people get a lot of their focus and a lot of their stuff out of social media. Mm-hmm. And if they're not in the trenches, don't understand exactly how construction works and financing, you don't know who you get yourself in bed with, and it could be a problem.
Yeah.
That makes sense to you?
So along the way of saying you're not really easy to get along with.
Well, it sounds like, if somebody is to come in and they're looking to work with you, or they're looking to work with somebody with a lot of experience, they should be, essentially following what that person is saying and just, being more of a silent partner, if anything, and rather than more of an equal, say. So.
Yeah. And I think the last thing is too, though, in fairness to your audience, is that everybody has to do what they have to do to meet their objectives and meet their goals. So fortunately for us, maybe because Joe's so old, or our track record, or the people that have come along with us for 30 years, we don't have a difficult time, thankfully, raising funds to do deals, nor do we have to be dependent on the banks, because we have people that are interested in funding our deals. And that creates a liberation for us and puts us in a position of strength. And I recognize that everybody listening to your podcast hasn't maybe got that track record or that credibility yet. So again, I don't want to come across like I'm poo-pooing JVs. Obviously, they're multi-billion-dollar, and they've created a lot of success for a lot of people. It's just something I'd be lying to you to say I have a lot of experience in or much interest in.
Absolutely.
All right, so let's switch it a little bit to some of the projects that you guys are working on. We'll get into our projects that we're working, the three of us together. But before we get into that, like, what are some of the cool projects that you have on the go right now? And maybe just give us some insights, like how you purchased it, what you're doing with it. If you have some financials that you can share, that would be great.
Brother Joe, would you like to run with that first?
No, I'm going to let Harry run with it first because we have an amazing project that we're doing right now in Lakefield, our red brick lofts.
So I actually, Sarah, and actually I want everybody to know that's listening to the podcast today, before I met Sarah, I had 3 followers on Instagram, and now I have many more. So thank you, Sarah. But I mentioned on one of Sarah's podcasts that money's a byproduct for me of real estate deals. Like I just have this, like I go to Scotland and I can't walk by a for sale sign without calling. I go to Bahamas, the same thing. I just have a real interest. I guess it's a hobby about real estate. So one of the projects we're working on now is actually right around the corner from your cottage, Sarah. It's called Red Brick Lofts in Lakefield. I have a cottage there, have been for the last 18 years. And I used to drive by this majestic building. It's nestled on 25 acres. It's a gorgeous building. If anybody's interested, they can look up harryjamesenterprises.com and you can see red brick lofts underneath our projects. But I used to sit there and wonder what it was. This building fascinated me. Sure enough, a number of years later, I saw a private for sale sign. I got into negotiations and put an offer in. I tied it up, and then my partner, who I often refer to as a combination of Red Bull and double espresso, while it was tied up, I brought him there to show him it. And I said, play it cool. And I'll tell you, the guy that owned it was sitting there, and Joe was bouncing off the walls. I love this place. This is amazing. I can't believe, can you imagine what we can do with this place? He didn't help me with the negotiation. But regardless, we ended up buying it because it is a beautiful building. I can understand why he was excited. And that was 4.5 years ago, 4 years ago this past January. And I'll tell you, it's had every challenge, every construction challenge. We dug up an old cistern. Is that what it's called?
Yep.
We've had to put in sprinkler systems. Every unit is different. It's just an unbelievably taxing project. As a matter of fact, I often refer to it when I go there as like being in a big jar of molasses and I can't move. It's 1 step forward, 6 steps back. But we are just at the finish line, and we've turned this majestic building into 14 gorgeous lofts, hard lofts. We are proud of the fact that people are selling their multi-million-dollar homes that maybe are gearing down a bit, and they're renting our units. So we're getting as much as $29.50 per month for some of our bigger units. It's got tons of character, tons of lifestyle. It's just a cool place to live. So we've built kind of a project that is at the same level of a high-end condo, but you can rent it. You don't have to buy it. So we plan on keeping that in our portfolio for income when Joe retires in a few years. He's going to be 83. And so
look good for him, don't it?
So that project has been amazing, fun, but my goodness, if we were in it just for the money, we'd both be getting therapy in a rubber room right now and getting medication about every 3 hours.
I'm just going to add to that.
Sure.
And Harry just gave you the short story on that, how great it is to have it. And like Harry says, he's absolutely right. When I walked in that place, and Harry will tell you, we both, when we travel, the architecture and all that, and buildings and all that, I just love doing that. That's why I love traveling, seeing different buildings and different architecture around the world. And that, when I walked in there, it was like, wow, what we can do with this place. It's almost like a chocolate factory in Toronto or one of these old factories. And we both just love the place. The one thing that was very challenging more than anything else is, as wide as our eyes were, as much as we love the place, and the bones of the place was great, the structure, everything was great. The challenges that we had to endure between the zoning and all that, which was great. The town worked with us; they loved us. The councilors actually stood up and clapped for us when the zoning went through, and that they couldn't wait for us to turn that place around. The challenges and all that we went through. When going back to partnership, I'm over budget by over $1.5 million. So if you want to bring a JV in or something like that, and you're over budget by $1.5 million on a project, there goes that's when I'm talking about a partnership. Mm-hmm. But the amount of stuff that we've had and stuff that we've had to do is just, you would never have known, because we did tear it down right down the bricks. The whole building's triple bricks all the way around. It's just an amazing building.
$1.5 million. Here's what's interesting you need to know. I'm actually only 35. Look at what he's done to me. Look what the stress has done.
I think you ruined that by saying that you've been doing this for 35 years.
But just that building, you know what? And then we decided we're going to do the attics up there. And well, the attics, once we added the attics, we had to put a sprinkler system and that added to it. But just saying the amount of stuff, the surprise, everything else that we got, even though we got the whole place right down to the bones, it didn't matter. Things were popping up. One thing we didn't know is we checked our drains and all that, because we have septic tanks, and everything was fine inside. When we started to run our plumbing, well, there's a big clog out on about 10 feet away from the building. We never knew because we didn't camera out that far. We had to put all brand new drains. So things that, you know what, that we did see, and then things that we didn't see and things that we added. But if you walk in there now,
actually Friday was when were we there last? Wednesday was the best trip out there in 4.5 years. It was awesome. We were both actually like, we're finally there. Like the beautiful big chandeliers going up in our lobby. These gorgeous custom doors are going in. It's like, wow, finally. It's like, you know, Christmas time for this project, right?
Absolutely.
4.5 years.
You were $1.5 million over. How many years over were you from your original projection?
3 years.
3 years, 1.5 mil.
In 3 years.
The challenging, like I said, it was just the challenging part. But the great thing about it is everything else. We're still partners. I think we are. Are we still partners? We won't know. We'll see. But
well, the great thing about it is we're still breathing. And
but I think ultimately that project's going to do really well for you, right? I mean, you pulled through to the end, and it's.
You know what, Sarah? You can say it's going to do really well, but going back to the partnership that you asked, we had the partners, and if we would have had partners with us, that 1.5. I'm pretty sure by now, but in the like that, I don't think we'd be working on it. There'd be arguments, there'd be fights, there's a lot of things going on. But since it was the two of us, you know what? Yeah, we're gonna make money on everything else, and it's great that the great thing about that property, we still own 25 acres on there that we can still develop, that we can make up our loss hopefully on that 1.5. But if we would have done an HGTV show on that project, I'm telling you, it would have been just like that one with Jim Carrey. What's that called? You remember Jim Carrey's movie? Truman, the Truman Show.
Oh yeah.
Because every day you'd be coming on watching the stress and the white hairs would be growing.
No, but every time we went there, it looked like nothing was done.
Absolutely.
And every Friday we went there, we didn't have one guy on site. I think we run the only construction crew that works a 4-day work week.
Well, a lot of guys don't want to take Fridays off.
Oh, yeah.
But you can see how comical we are together here, right? This is and this is, you know what?
It wasn't comical.
And this is how we are every day together. There's a seriousness part about us at the same time, but I'm just trying to say, you know what? When you got a partner and we're over budget 1.5 and all that, we have to sustain these losses and all that. You can see what kind of partnership we really have.
But we do have fun. But going back to your important question is, here's when you buy the right piece of real estate at the right price, 4.5 years, $1.5 million over budget, and we will finish that project. We will get conventional financing at 50% loan to value. We'll have tons of equity, and that discounts to the developable acres of 25 acres. So we do things for 10 years, not for 10 minutes or 10 months. So absolutely, will we be rewarded for the scars and the stress? Yes. Are we already starting to be rewarded with the way it's been received? I was ready to pop champagne when we rented our first apartment. It's like somebody validating your vision, somebody validating what we saw 4.5 years ago. And we couldn't, make sure it was going to work out or make sure somebody was going to love it as much as us. But when somebody comes in and writes you a check for $6,000 saying, I want that one, there's just something special about that. And that to me is part of the magic of being involved in a real estate gig.
Yeah, and just add to that, again, going back to partnership and all that and how me and Harry met, the great thing about the two of us, what we have more than anything else is, I've been doing this for so many years that I run my own jobs. We run our own jobs. We're the GC. We have our own architects on staff. We have our own engineers on staff. We have a full team of contractors on staff. We are ourselves. If me and Harry would have bought that and we would have had to contract that out, that 1.5 would have been $3.5 million loss over budget.
That's a really important point.
Right?
You just brought up.
We have to bring that up because going back what me and Harry do, and we'll talk about our other projects, we've actually taken houses that have no floors and have nothing in them, balloon framing and that, buy them for nothing. And again, somebody walking in there would have no idea what they do. But the great thing that we have in our partnership, not only myself, but I have also my older brother that works at the same time. But we worked so many years together. He's a carpenter and all that. We could bring our own team in and fix all the problems that we have, where we don't have to bring somebody in to analyze our work or bring in our engineers to tell us what we're going to do. me and Harry make the decisions. We do our own drawings. We tell the engineers, and I'm sure you sat in one of our meetings, Andrew, Sarah, and you see the way we operate. And that's one great thing about our construction team and our financing team, that it's all in-house, and you can't get better than that. And that's what I don't think a lot of listeners and people out there, when they're listening to podcasts or listening to some people are investors, all you ever hear is you buy this and do this and you're going to make all this money. Well, you got to still build it. There's so many more parts.
You seem quite angry about the podcasters out there.
No, I'm not. I have no problem with podcasts, social media.
You know what?
At the end of the day,
way too much. Over to Sarah.
No, but at the end of the day,
I'm gonna leave now.
Okay, no, let's just give one word answers.
we post a lot of the good stuff, right? We post the success stories, but I think it's just important that people realize, whether it's on social media or not, that there are going to be situations that, like, you will be $1.5 million over, or 3 years over, or something will happen. I mean, with the pandemic and the shutdowns, like, in the, prices going up and, materials having shortages, like, there's definitely going to be different challenges along the way.
Joe's got his black belt and going over.
And that's important. Yeah. Well, I don't know if that makes me worried or projects that we're doing, but I would worry, Sarah. But I will ultimately say, I mean, I think that is a huge asset, that you guys have everything in house so that you can control everything that you can, rather than having a contractor and then you've got the contractor markup on things. And like you said, your 1.5
exactly.
Could have been 3 mil. But I also think that, like, you're probably, both of you, where you are today because you do outside the box stuff, right? So, I mean, I think when Harry, you and I first met, I mean, I love the burr strategy. It is still my favorite strategy, but at some point, to really scale, to be able to, like, differentiate yourself, outside the box stuff that not everyone's bidding on, is, something that you guys, it looks like you're doing a lot of, right? Just being creative, figuring out properties that, most people will oversee for whatever reason, and then figuring out, okay, what is the opportunity here? Maybe tell us about, like, a project. Maybe we'll talk about the one that you've got in Coburg. But I think you had a vision for that one that a lot of people said you were crazy about. Can you share a bit about that?
Yeah, and just before I touch on that, I think what's really important is, and I think a lot of people miss this on the real estate gig, and that's this: real estate is a business. And, it's just like what you've gone through, Sarah. You've done an amazing job. Over 7 years, you've built this portfolio, you developed a strategy, you ran with the strategy. And why did you come to Harry James? Because you wanted to grow, you wanted to develop, you wanted to build your business, you wanted to diversify, you wanted to get out of the crowded laneway where there's white hot and there's multiple offers. That's just smart business. And I've said this over and over: the biggest return you get in business and in life is from planning. You've got to step back and look at where you've been, where you are, and where you're going. And credit to you, Sarah, you've stepped out, made yourself vulnerable and uncomfortable, and you're starting to go down a different road that's unfamiliar. But that's how you build a business. That's how you build wealth. So that happened to me and Joe, I believe, naturally over time. I started out with a house with a basement apartment, and then I would start out with a little reno, and then there'd be something else. And in 2005 or 2006, I found myself, as a result of continuing to try to learn things new, being a partner on a multi-million-dollar 18 townhome development on the shores of Lake Ontario. And I remember, because I was investing in Coburg at the time, I believe in Coburg, I think it's still one of Ontario's best kept secrets. I was investing out there, and the guy that wanted to partner with me called me from a piece of land overlooking the marina, and he said, "What would you build here?" And I said, "I would build townhomes with rooftop patios." And he said, what could you get? I said, $500,000. He says, "You're kidding." I said, "I'll pay $500,000 for the first one. I will not sell anything to anybody that I wouldn't buy myself." Long story short, if you go to Coburg, you go to the marina, that's our development right there. It's gorgeous. Joe's building behind it, Beach Walk Place, is frankly twice as nice built and twice as nicely designed, but I'm still proud of what we did in that first phase. So yes, people thought I was nuts for writing a check for $500,000 for a townhome in Coburg, but water is magic. Lifestyle is magic. The city is moving east. Coburg's 60 miles door to door from downtown Toronto. I believed in it. And no matter what business you're in, you have to believe in it. You have to have conviction. If you're looking for endorsement left and right, if you're looking for everybody to say, "Yeah, Sarah, you're doing the right thing," you're going to be looking for a long time. You have to have that conviction that you're doing the right thing and going in the right direction. And don't let anybody take you to the left or the right. Just persevere, and magical things will happen. And the second phase was a disaster. That's when I met Joe. The U.S. market was about to collapse. I pushed the pause button. It created a big stressful situation. But then we turned lemons into lemonade when Joe and I built Beach Walk Place. Again, it's on our website. It's just a gorgeous building. I'm proud to say, and this is a big pat on the back to my pal here, the architect that built Pearson Airport lives close by. Went by the building, said it's one of the nicest looking little boutique condos he's ever seen. That's Joe's skill, Joe's vision, Joe's ability. And so we're very proud of that. So, that's something that's happened in Cobourg that is only happened as a result of making mistakes, little deals, getting into bigger deals, but everybody can get to where they want to go. It's just one step at a time, like anything in life.
Yeah, absolutely. Really well said. And that is a beautiful project. So, just from a time perspective, and I do want to just take a few minutes just to talk about the stuff that we're doing together, and then we'll go into our lightning round. One of the things that I guess we started working together 6 months ago, and this awesome piece of property popped up off market. And so we bought that. So we're going to build some towns on that. And then recently we purchased over 5 acres of waterfront. As you said, waterfront is huge. Waterfront property to build some tiny cottages on it. And so maybe, Joe, I know you've been working behind the scenes quite a bit with the townhouse project. Maybe just give us, if you don't mind, just an overview on what it is that we're doing. And then we'll talk about the cottages afterwards.
You want to talk about the Napa Towns, or you want to talk Cobourg? Napa Towns. Yeah, we had started, as you know, Sarah, we had started off with the 2 apartments on there, and then we changed to the townhouses. But yeah, we know the town is okay with what we're going to be doing. They blessed us. Now we're going to the county of Peterborough to get our approvals, which is great. So again, the blessing from Lakefield was the town of Solomon was the first step. And now that we have all that in place, we designed some gorgeous towns. I think you put them up, right, Sarah?
Yeah.
You have those up? And now we have our floor plans ready to go. And we're working hard on the actual working drawings to get to that next step, and our site plan approvals for the Napa Towns. So it's coming along pretty good.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I'm excited about that. I mean, I'm excited to, work with you, Joe, and Harry on this awesome project. And also, I would say, one of the things that I think, you bring lots of things to the table, but you have a great relationship with the town as well. And it sounds like, they trust you. They've seen what you're building in other towns. They talk to each other, and they're welcoming this project.
Absolutely. You know what? And again, Harry, once we got into Cobourg and we started working in Cobourg, I think what put us on the map is more than anything else was in Cobourg when Harry built out, we built out the townhouse out there and the first development out there, and we built our condos out in Cobourg. And what we designed out in Cobourg, and the town saw we built 10 boutique condos that they don't even build them in Toronto. We build all concrete ICF, and then they saw the type of build that we do. One of the biggest things that I have, and you see I talk a lot, and I ask a lot of questions before we do anything. I always like to talk to the town to make sure that what we want to do, we can do. We get their blessing before we start. And I think the township really appreciates somebody coming in there and asking for their opinion instead of just ramming stuff at them and just, this is what we want to build. That we go in there and we ask a lot of questions, and and we cooperate with them at the same time what they want us to do. I'll give you a quick small example. Our triplex that we sold out in 24 hours there. Before we did anything, me and Harry sat at the site. We brought out our the actual planner, top planner in Cobourg, told him our vision. He blessed it. Once we had the drawings done and else, he said, well, maybe what do you think about bringing the downtown look to these triplexes? Well, instead of him hollering and trying to say no to them because we had the design done, we turned around and we designed it, and we gave them exactly what they wanted. So when you start to work with the town, and they feel comfortable with you, the word gets out. So you know what, from there, as soon as we went to Selwyn, they already knew who we were. Same in Minden and all that. So that's amazing to have that kind of rapport. But anytime you do anything, it's always great to talk to town, make sure that they see your vision. It's not just buying a piece of property and just doing something. And that's how you build up a rapport. When we have issues with the inspectors and all that, we try to accommodate everything they want. We don't try to argue with them. We try to do everything we can. And that's what gives us a great rapport with the towns, and it goes from town to town, and that's a great feeling. Like, you know.
Yeah.
Well, Sarah, I think, this is your 150th podcast, so congratulations. And it's an honor for us to be on.
Absolutely,
But
thank you.
I'm going to just switch things around a little bit here and honor you, because you've made it clear that I coach you, and it's a privilege to do that. But I can shine the spotlight down. I can give you ideas. I can be a catalyst. I can share my experience. It's the student that has to listen and execute. And to your credit, I said you've got to get out of the crowded laneway. The key to any business is activity. The best piece of property is not going to come and tackle you. You have to look for it. You have to put in the hours. I remember you distinctly leaving my office one day after I'd given you that message. As a matter of fact, I think I gave you a bit of a hard time that day. And sure enough, within 2 weeks, no, this is, again, people need to hear this. Everybody needs to grow. Everybody needs a mentor. Everybody's got more experience to gain. And within 2 weeks, you landed on a beautiful piece of property as a result of networking that we bought clearly for $300,000 less than market value. And you have listened and engaged with Joe and I as a student throughout this whole development process. We talked about how to market them. I believe you sold, she beat our record. She sold 6 townhomes in 6 minutes.
That's amazing.
And because we are delivering, we're not greedy. We're delivering a beautiful product south of $800,000 in an amazing market with lots of upside with in-law apartments. So Sarah, we're going to develop a great program and product. The investors are going to do well. The people that live in them are going to do well. And it's all because if you just push the rewind button, we sat in a meeting and you went out and executed on the information that I gave you. And that's the big thing. Everybody's good at gathering information, but they ingest, they don't digest. Therefore, they don't execute. Nothing changes. Nothing changes in their life. In our coaching session, you listened and you ingested, then you digested, then you made something happen. And as a result of that, you're now a partner in a $5 million project in a small community, a partner in another multi-million-dollar project in Cobeconk, and we've also got other things on the plate. So credit to you. You're the one that had to listen. You're the one that had to take a step of faith. You're the one that had to make yourself vulnerable, and you're the one that had to execute. And it's fun for Joe and I to share our experience with you as we're going through this process together.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, sir.
Thanks so much, guys. That's awesome. I'm excited. I mean, ultimately, I trust you to help me get to that next level, and that's why I look for you for the guidance. And I think it is awesome because you bring so much to the table. So I don't think I would execute and do this scale of a project if I didn't have you with me. So that definitely, you bring the experience, you bring the expertise. There's a ton. So I think ultimately this is going to be a great partnership. And then the other thing
that we're moving to Barbados tomorrow.
I don't know what's going to happen with this one, but I kind of dragged you guys into these little cottage resort idea. And
You think? Harry, I have a vision of tiny cottages. That all of a sudden now it's our vision.
Yeah, exactly.
So I think that was like when we had made an offer on a piece of property, and Joe, you did some due diligence, and then we just had to walk away because it would have been probably just definitely not the right piece of property. It was for many, many reasons, but I will tell you that kind of gave us the idea of this could be done with the right zoning, the right property, the right waterfronts, etc. And I think it was 3 weeks later, we found this perfectly zoned piece of property in Cobeconk, and now we are going to be doing some themed cottages on it, and I think we're good for 15 or more. Super excited about that. Are you guys do you still think that I'm crazy?
You know what? As you can probably tell, Joe and I do enjoy ourselves.
Yeah.
And there's certain projects you do that are not under the category of necessarily making money or paying your bills. There's fun projects we engage in. For example, we have the Live Real Factory at the Old Town Hall, where we try to encourage and inspire and motivate people, and we have little meetings and share information with entrepreneurs. And when you always talked about this tiny cottage, you're really passionate about it. There's no question in our minds that it was the timing was perfect for where we're at in our world and where people are. So yeah, I mean, at first I was like, all right, well, let's just see where this goes. When we walked the land the other day, Joe and I, this is a nice little piece and it's got a nice little beach. And now, as the more I think about it, when I see the potential over the next 60 months, as long as, and I know you agree with this, Sarah, as long as we approach it with the right perspective, keep an open mind, because there's 1,000 different ways you can go, be well aware of what these types of things cost. If we break it down, the cool thing about Cobeconk is if you break it down in bite-sized pieces, little tiny things, little tiny decisions, and little tiny investments can come a big rate of return. And the other thing, again, to give you credit, Sarah, maybe it was an accident, but you can take it anyways. After we bought the property, I started to do some due diligence. You're not supposed to do it that way, by the way, Joe. Due diligence, then execute, right? But anyways,
I started. Why the other way?
I don't know. Anyways,
it's not like you.
Well, it's because Sarah was so excited about tiny cottages that we're never going to find a piece like this
the
anywhere.
first thing you said to me when you met with her, she wants to tiny cottages.
Yeah. It was always, and then ironically, Harry, your daughter always wanted something like that too. So it kind of works out, and we're likely not bringing other investors in this one.
Well, my daughters were talking about tiny cottages for 8 months and watching the tiny cottage show, and I didn't even know until I mentioned it to them. But here's a cool thing: Cobeconk, after my due diligence, is one of the serious up-and-coming places for cottages, because Muskoka's is expensive, and Stony Lake's expensive, and Balsam Lake's expensive, and now Cobeconk is really, really starting to get some attention, really close to the city, beautiful little lakes, nice amenities. So listen, I think we're at the front end of something that could be a real fun run, and also maybe something that'll probably make us a little bit of money. So it's pretty cool.
And I'm going to break it to you guys now. I'm out.
Oh.
I'm out.
All right, I'm going to bring in a JV.
Yeah,
I don't know.
I'll move it for you guys. I'm out. No, I think it's amazing. I think it's going to be an amazing project. And Sarah, as you know, I've already got that 5.5 acres. We got a topographical done on it and starting to lay out the things that we want to lay out so we can have a bigger picture, a top view looking down, how we can lay it all out. So we already got that in the works. And you know what? Hopefully we can make your dream come true. These tiny cottages.
It'll be awesome. It'll be awesome. I mean, I'm excited about it. Like, I think it'll be a fun, great thing. We could do retreats there. We could have like a real estate conference, and like people can stay there and have a whole.
Get excited already.
No, but seriously, but weekends to inspire entrepreneurs, work-life balance. Here's the thing too. Again, what did you do with that deal? With 2 deals that you've done so far, Sarah, Napa Towns, you created something that didn't exist in an area that's growing. Cobeconk, the cottages, you created something that didn't exist. You created something that there's very little of, which is land where you can put 14 or 15 cabins. So again, there's a lot of magic that comes from going down the road less traveled. I'm not saying you do it recklessly, but if you do your homework, and that's where planning and thinking comes from. Stay away from the herds, folks. Stop going with all the lemmings off the cliff. In a strong wind, even turkeys fly. Real estate is a business. It is not a bandwagon. Make sure that you do your due diligence and come up with a vision that works for you.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Due diligence before purchasing.
In most cases.
I don't think we did that with Cobeconk, did we?
It was emotional. Sarah actually forced
I know, no kidding.
It made sense. I think what I should say is it was better than we thought, right? I mean, I'm familiar with the Kawarthas in general. Like, I have a cottage rental, as you know, and I know roughly what I can get, high season, low season, etc. But I think, similar to red brick lofts, like we're creating something that doesn't really exist. Yeah, there's other resorts, but they're kind of run down. There's like, we have a different idea where we're going to do it like nicer, upscale. In my opinion, we could still debate this, but I think 14 plus, not somewhere where people can relax and like, more of an adult.
Exception will be my grandchildren, just so you know.
An adult, type of environment. But I think once we started looking into it, Cobeconk is actually likely a better area than we originally thought. So
you know what, Sarah, I'm sorry to interrupt you, but this is really important to me. You know what you're saying though? I'm going to build something that I would like to rent. See, that's what we did with our townhomes. I built something that I would want to live in. Like, my wife and I get emotionally attached to our, like, we don't want to sell. So we only regret the stuff we sell because we buy and build things that we truly believe in. Mm-hmm. The penthouses that Joe and I invested in our own project in Coburg, it would be tough to let those go. They're beautiful spaces that inspire you, that let you relax. Cobeconk, that's going to be a place where people can go and celebrate life, connect with their families, celebrate what really matters and truly matters. So you give them a gorgeous place with beautiful first-class amenities, the kind of place that I think the three of us would like to rent. Well, if the three of us would love it, you can be sure there's an awful lot of other people that are going to appreciate this thing that we create out of nothing. And when you have that little formula, I think it makes a big difference. When I see builders that are going in just to transact, build these cookie cutters, get our money, run, and there's not that emotional attachment, they're not trying to create something that's special. I'm not saying they're not making money, but frankly, I just wouldn't want to do business that way.
No, agreed, 100%. I mean, okay, so we've been talking for a while. Let's do our lightning round because, I'm sure we can keep talking for another hour. I'll have to have you guys come back at some point in the future. Again, there's just so much, so much value, so many directions that we can go in. But yeah.
Just before you go to lightning round though, who has talked more, Joe or myself?
You.
Yeah, I figured that.
Exactly. He's going to say I was, right?
No.
Oh, okay.
No, I was hoping to be.
Well, were you hoping to be?
Well, yeah, because, in the car, you dominate all day long. I usually have a...
Awesome. Maybe next time I'll have you guys each come separately on the show again.
Can you imagine? She doesn't like us together. She wants us separate.
She doesn't get a word in edgewise.
Exactly.
I mean, here's the thing with this tiny home resort, guys. Like you're listening to this, we are going to be recording it in some capacity, one way or the other. And I will tell you, it's going to be educational. It's going to be quite funny and entertaining because, as you can see, Harry and Joe joke a lot, and I like to have fun as well. So, but you're right. I mean, ultimately, we've got to build something that we would want to hang out with, enjoy. Me personally, I mean, I like going to nice resorts if I'm on vacation, and I don't know if we have something like this here. That's we don't have really anything in the Kawarthas. I think there's one in Prince Edward County that's like super nice that just got created, but I think there's a demand for it. We just gotta be able to create it. So stay tuned for more information on that. So Harry and Joe, you ready to play the lightning round?
Scary.
All right. So you can each answer separately if you want. Just keep your answers.
You go first. No, you go first.
I dominated you first.
You go first. You know what?
All right. I will decide who goes first. So question number 1. What is your favorite real estate investing book? Joe, you can go first.
I don't read. Sorry.
All right. Then that's the answer. Harry.
Now you see one of my challenges. That's why we're over budget all the time. You to sound out the big word. Rich Dad, Poor Dad.
All right. Number 2. I do not know if you guys listen to podcasts, and you can say you don't if you don't. But Harry, what is your favorite? Doesn't have to be real estate related, but what is your favorite podcast?
I honestly don't listen to real estate podcasts, except for Sarah Larby, which is outstanding.
I was going to say Sarah Larby.
Number 1. Yeah, that's it.
Okay. Joe, do you listen to any podcasts?
I've only listened to yours.
Okay. All right. Number 3. Hopefully these get easier for you both. Number 3. What do you do for fun?
Now we know why nobody knows.
Well, it's funny. I've done 2 podcasts. I've done this and another, but I've only listened to hers. Yeah. I haven't even listened to my own.
Yeah. Well, you don't want to listen to it. I listen to it.
Awesome. All right. So what do you do for fun when it is not work or real estate? Joe.
What I do for fun? Probably drive my car.
What kind of car do you have?
It's a sports car.
Come on, don't do it. It's a Ferrari. It's some type of Ferrari.
No, it's not a Ferrari.
What is it?
It's just a sports car.
Tell the people they want to know. There's car people out there. People that like
a 911 and an Alpha 4C.
Okay, I don't know what that means, but I mean,
one's a 911 Porsche, and one's an Alpha.
I can tell you, if you go in the Alpha 4C, you lose your hearing. I can tell you that.
All right, Harry, what do you do for fun?
It's going to sound really boring and like I planned, but honestly, I love spending time with like a nice dinner with friends, hanging out with my grandkids. My wife and I try to make sure we continue to date regularly as we go to our 37th anniversary next month. So yeah, friends and family and all the stuff that outside of work that matters 10 times more. So if I'm engaged and making some memories with close friends and family, I'm a happy guy.
Awesome. All right.
That's for fun?
Huh?
That's just for fun? I thought you do that all the time.
Well, but it's fun. I don't have any
so
hobbies.
Fun to
I'm not a car guy.
So me together, it's just fun?
I don't play golf. I don't have cars. Like I just kind of boring.
So when we go, it's just for fun, is it?
Pretty well.
I thought,
no, it's fun.
I thought it meant a bit more.
No.
Okay.
All right, awesome. Question number 4. If you lost all of your money and all of your assets tomorrow, how would you start again? Harry, you can start with that one.
I'd sue Joe because he's got tons of money. And you know, if I
Why
had
did I know
Joe's,
you would say that?
if I had Joe's money, I'd burn mine.
Yeah,
So I would sue him.
Yeah, exactly. Sure.
You know what? And again, this will sound contrived, and it's not. I live my life with a deathbed mentality, and I truly believe our most precious asset is time and relationships and health. So I think I would have the perspective that as long as I have my health and a couple of people that have my back that love me, I could go out and do it all again as long as I was gifted with the time. So it would most probably be in real estate because it's something I think I'm pretty good at. But also, to be candid with you, I'm proud of this fact. I've been a salesman all my life. I think I'm a pretty good salesman. I think it's a great profession. So who knows? Maybe I could become a fuller brush salesman again and get your house all cleaned up with a new vacuum cleaner. That's what I might do.
Nice.
Yeah.
All right, good answer, Joe. What about you?
I guess I've been blessed, you know what, with a great mind, great hands, that if I lost everything else and, you know, support from my family and all that, I can get back into either laying tiles, framing a house, doing something, somehow get myself back into it, flipping pizzas, who knows. But one way or another, I'm sure, like I said, been blessed by a great mind and great hands by the Lord, and I get back on my feet.
Yeah, Joe, you should know though, Joe bought one of his first places with zero money, negotiated a vendor take back, renovated it, made it worth $1 billion, and then opened a restaurant. And this is one incredibly talented human being to my left here. So very resourceful. And actually the first time we met,
That's right.
Yeah, you were crazy in the head. Go ahead.
All right, question number 5. This is the last question. Joe, we'll start with you. If somebody has $50,000 and they want to get started, how would you recommend they spend that money?
$15,000?
50.
50?
50,000.
50,000. In today's market, I'd go probably, I try to go as far east or north as I can go to find something. You can still find some properties out there in the around $350,000 mark. You know, I try to get as far as the city as you can. And I work with a vendor take back. There's a lot of people always giving out vendor take backs. You just got to know how to negotiate, and you take that 50,000 and maybe use 30 of that or half of that as a deposit and try to use the other money to renovate. But renovate smartly. Don't just go and start buying everything under the moon. Try to find sales and you know what, flooring, lights, whatever it is, and you can make that money grow. But it's got to be way outside of the city.
Yeah, absolutely.
The vendor take back always works.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And we just got a vendor take back on the resort as well for quite a big chunk. So that is a great tip there. Harry, what about you?
Cryptocurrency or everything on black? No, I'd have to agree with my partner. Like it's the city's moving east, it can't go west. I do think this market is overheated and do a correction. So frankly, if I had the 50 grand right now, I sometimes one of the best decisions you make in life is to do nothing. That said, too, we talked about partnerships today. Maybe we could end it this way. If you have somebody in your life that has a complementary skill set that you respect and that you could build something with, and 1 and 1 equals 4, then it might be a bad idea to get them to throw in 52, because then you can get a larger asset in your name. And as we all know, the key to real estate is other people's money, OPM, which is other people paying off a very large asset on your behalf. That's how you build wealth. It's black and white. You really can't argue that point. So the more assets you can get in your name for that amount of money, the better off you're going to be in the long run.
All right, awesome. Great answers. Where can my listeners reach out to each of you? Harry, let's start with you. Where can people go to connect?
Well, Joe and I own a company called Harry James Enterprises. Harry James Enterprises can be found at harryjamesenterprises.com. And there you can see Joe and I's projects, and we keep that pretty updated on a regular basis. We'll be featuring our project there too, Sarah, Napa Towns, as well as Cobeconk. On my website, you will see our construction company, which Joe owns and runs, called Napa Valley Construction. And you can see more of our projects on there. Napa Valley, in essence, at this stage of our development, has become our sole development company, Terrion licensed. And we basically create all of our own work and flow all of our own work through that company. I'm also on Harry James Live Real, which is how you and I met, Sarah, on Instagram. My daughter Shauna encouraged me to set up a little Instagram account a few years ago and just kind of share I share little 1-minute snippets of my philosophy in life, whether it be health, relationships, business, or whatever. I think maybe it's a way of trying to get my grandkids to know who I am before I drop this dead. But that's, I think, our main. And you also have napavalley.com, Joe?
Yeah, you can go, get me on Instagram at Napa Valley Developments, or again, Terry James Enterprises. We both have our emails at that, so good enough to get us on there.
Awesome. All right, perfect. Thank you guys really a lot for your insights today. Joe, Harry, thank you for being part of these projects with me as well, because I'm excited to grow, and I know that these will be awesome and open up a whole lot of doors. But thank you for the insights. Thanks for being on today, and thanks for your time.
Well, happy anniversary and happy 150th episode. Congratulations.
Congratulations, and thanks for having us on.
Thanks.
Thanks so much for listening to Where Should I Invest with your host, Sarah Larby. Make sure to listen in next time. We'll catch you on the next episode of Where Should I Invest?